Nearly 4 decades since the tanker war pitted Iraq, along with the US and its allies, against Tehran, Iran's blockade of the Strait of Hormuz has once again reiterated the strategic significance of this critical passageway that opens up the oil rich Persian Gulf to the rest of the world. Its importance is rooted, above all, in geography. Over one-fifth of global oil and LNG exports transit the Strait of Hormuz. It enables Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, Qatar, Kuwait, Iraq, Bahrain, and of course Iran to export crude and natural gas to the rest of the world. In 2024, oil flow through the strait averaged 20 million barrels per day. China, India, Japan, and South Korea together accounted for 69% of this. As a result, this choke point has been weaponized for over 500 years now, starting with the Portuguese capture on the island of Hormuz in 1507. There was also the British blockade in 1951, and of course, the infamous tanker war of the 1980s. Tehran, which considers anything within 12 nautical miles of its shoreline as Iranian waters, has threatened to sink any enemy linked vessel transiting the Strait of Hormuz, a reference to US and Israeli linked ships. Almost a month after the US and Israel launched the first wave of strikes inside Iran, killing Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, talks of a ceasefire have come to naught, and hundreds of vessels continue to be stranded on both sides of the Strait of Hormuz. According to one estimate, fewer than 100 ships have been able to transit the strait since the beginning of March. The print explains how Iran weaponized the Strait of Hormuz, why the US and its NATO allies are reluctant to send in naval escorts to the region. Though only 33 kilometers wide and 200 feet deep at its narrowest point, the Strait of Hormuz can accommodate even the world's largest crude oil tankers. Here's where it gets tricky. Shipping traffic goes through much narrower inbound and outbound channels, each 3-kilometer wide, with a lane separator between them. Still, any transiting vessel cannot transit the strait without coming within miles of Iranian waters. A critical Iranian bulwark standing in the way of any vessel passing the Strait of Hormuz is Geshem Island, a popular tourist destination owing to its salt caves and mangrove forests. Decades of tensions in the region have earned this island the reputation of being Iran's unsinkable aircraft carrier. The island, spanning 1,445 square kilometers, anchors Tehran's asymmetric naval power. Besides Geshem, Iran also has established significant military presence and infrastructure on three smaller islands: Abu Musa, Greater Thum, and Lesser Thum. US and Israeli strikes against the first two islands, which also hold airfields, were confirmed by the Institute for the Study of War. Behind the coastline, as one heads towards the Iranian mainland, stand the Zagros Mountains, which provide natural cover for Iran's anti-ship cruise missile batteries, drone launching sites, and underground arsenals. The possibility of drifting and moored contact mines, part of Iran's arsenal, coupled with smaller Iranian vessels that can be used to sow mines or attack larger vessels, makes this global energy choke point a perfect staging ground for guerrilla tactics, providing Iran with the defender's advantage. On the other side of the passageway is the Musandam Peninsula, a rocky extension of the Arabian Peninsula controlled by Oman. Its deeply cut coastline is a sight that encounters every sailor passing the Strait of Hormuz. But its strategic importance is undermined by Iranian buildup on the other side. Just last week, US President Donald Trump called on NATO allies to commit to naval escorts for ships passing through the Strait of Hormuz, even referring to them as cowards on account of initial reluctance. On Sunday, the Secretary General of NATO said allied countries are coming together to secure the Strait of Hormuz with the UK leading a multinational effort. But loosening Iran's chokehold on the Strait of Hormuz is easier said than done for two simple reasons. One, even the remotest possibility of Iranian sea mines in the strait will deter private insurers from securing vessels headed to the region. This was evident even during the tanker war of the 1980s when the US had to launch Operation Earnest Will to escort Kuwaiti ships through the strait. One notable incident from this time involved a crude oil tanker. Bridgerton entered the Gulf of Oman and set course for Kuwait. It wasn't a routine transit. Flanking the vessel were two American destroyers, two frigates, and two Coast Guard cutters. Their job was to ensure Bridgerton and LPG tanker Gas Prince transit the Strait of Hormuz unharmed. The route was riddled with at least 60 sea mines sown by Iran. By this time, five other tankers had already been struck by the mines off the coast of Kuwait. On 24th July 1987, 2 days after it commenced its journey through the Persian Gulf, Bridgerton struck a moored mine. It suffered damage to its two forward cargo tanks but continued along its course, acting as a minesweeper for the American ships escorting it to its destination. What is the second point? Well, the geographical advantage on the side of Iran allows it to conceal its missile batteries and drone launching sites from air power that has given the US, Israel, and their allies an edge in conflicts over the years. With the Zagros Mountains as cover, Iran can target or at the very least threaten all commercial shipping transiting the Strait of Hormuz. The solution, in theory, is to deploy mine detection vessels to clear a path. This path can then be used for transit, though not without warships flanking the tankers and aerial support to counter drones and ballistic missiles. This has been Amrtansh Arora for The Print. Thank you for listening.